Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. I'm very excited about our next guest. She is a trailblazer in the Western industry from the arena floor all the way to the play-by-play booth. It's my pleasure to welcome Kate Harrison. It is an honor to have you on here. I've enjoyed working with you in the past with the American and everything else, but what we want to get down to is your new role as play-by-play for the new PBR team series. Tell us about it. How has that been?
It's been a blast, and it was because it's not only my first time doing it, but we're launching a brand new league. It's really a hybrid show because we're on TV, we're in arena, and then they look at me and say, now you better make this work. And they said it in a very nice way, but it was serious. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna give it 100%. I will give it my all, and I'll make sure that no one is going to come in more prepared than I am. And you've seen that.
You've
seen my stack of notes. So I just approach this in the same way. And for me, I've always been the one to talk after the ride, right? Not when it happens, not in the analyst role. I wait until they're on the dirt, they've got the helmet off, they're out of the arena, and then that's when I talk to them. So to kind of be in the moment and experience those fireworks and get to walk the television audience through, I get to be the voice for those watching at home in the moment.
Justin McBride and you at the American.
Yes.
So in the past it'd been like 1 or 2 days of it. We got 5 days of it at the Cowtown Coliseum, and then
that was good. And for being first time in the play-by-play chair, I was very thankful for those 5 days leading up to the big show.
Well, you couldn't tell.
It was a good time.
You were pro, you were natural. Women in professional rodeo. Tell me your thoughts on that and how that has elevated the sport.
I've gotten to do some really cool things with work because first time Calgary is covered on TV in the US in decades, I got to be there at the table. First time we put rodeo back on national television in 40 years, I got to be at the table. The first time Breakaway made its way onto national TV, I got to be on the call for it. I got to interview Jackie Crawford. And looking back at some of those moments, they weren't just, oh, that happened, that's really neat, it'll happen again. Breakaway and the step that it took a few years back, that is a moment that I think every breakaway roper is going to look back on for generations and go, that was the launching pad.
Oh, for sure.
That's when it took off. So to get to be a part of that from a TV storytelling side is incredible. And to be down there doing so many interviews with these breakaway ropers who have rodeoed and roped their entire lives for $4,000 or $5,000 paychecks, and get to be the one to talk to them when they were just handed a $100,000 paycheck, it's
huge.
Incredible.
You're no stranger to TV. From time graduating USC, you were immersed into the scene, right?
Right away. Well, even before that, because growing up, I grew up in the stunt business.
Right.
So very first job I had in the stunt business and in front of a camera was at 7.
Wow.
Fast forward all those years later, journalism for me started in 07. And that's the first question I'll get is, how do you get to where you are? I want to be there next year. If you find a way to get there next year, you tell me your secret, because this has been about 15 years in the making. One sport I've covered to the next. And you know what's wild? So when I very first graduated, everyone wants to cover football, which I loved covering football, but it's football, it's basketball, it's all the major mainstream sports. And one of the women I looked up to at Pac-12 Network said, well, what do you know better than probably anyone that you're graduating with that you could talk about? I said, well, rodeo, but rodeo's not really on TV. I know PBR's on TV, and I know that's one job, and I remember thinking, yeah, I would love to cover rodeo, but when does that happen?
Right.
And that was she had to have told me that in 07. Fast forward 9 years later, Pac-12 Network, CSPN Radio, Radio Disney, covering every sport out there from gymnastics to water polo to rugby, you name it. I would just dive in deep on these sports. And then sure enough, I got a call to go and cover the American. And that very first call for the American had to have been in 2014. And then from there comes the PBR, and then here we are covering rodeo and bull riding full time.
And the awesome thing is bringing you right back to your roots.
Yes.
So tell me a little more. High school rodeo, college rodeo?
After high school rodeo, got my permit right away and started barrel racing. At the same time, I knew I wanted to do journalism. I knew I wanted to cover sports. And growing up in Southern California, there's no better college football team to cover than the USC Trojans. So I knew I wanted to go to USC. Applied to go to SC, but I also applied to Cal Poly. I thought, well, maybe I'll look at rodeoing. Got in to both, and I really thought hard about college rodeo because how can you not? I was getting a tour. Some of the girls on the team were giving me a tour. I went to one of the rodeos. I loved all of that. Now I got down to it. I said, now tell me about the broadcast journalism program. Well, there wasn't really a program for it up there, but I just always saw it as being, I would love to rodeo, but my full-time job I see being in storytelling. I thought, okay, if this is my decision, I'm going to give it my all,
right,
and I'm going to make sure I succeed in it.
Well, and one thing about the sport of rodeo or team roping or barrel racing, you could take 10, 15, 20
Right.
years off.
I can
June
buy a
Ullman.
whole lot better horse if I go and get a really good job.
Looking forward to more of Kate Harrison on the PBR teams. Looking
Thanks,
forward to
Luke.
more of Kate Harrison on the Luke Branquinho Show. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Is this awkward?
That's really awkward. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks
I'm
for-
crossing the plane we were told not to cross.
Right.
Oh, what? You want him? You want Uncle Luke? Don't forget your binky.
This is for me or the kid?
Definitely for you.
Oh, you want the book? Oh, there you go. Oh, no.